Infants born in this clan are thrown into the sword tomb after 2.5 days. Only the children who crawl out alive will be raised by the clan. But this infant not only crawled out of the sword tomb with determination, but even when receiving the Styx' blessing, he continued on despite choking on water. He only wanted to absorb Styx' blessing as much as possible to strengthen his body and lay the groundwork for his own revenge. He used to be the hound who had made great contributions to the clan. To gain the approval of his father and the clan, he completed various dirty and tiring tasks for the clan. But after serving the clan for a lifetime, his reward was the merciless guillotine. Simply because he knew too many secrets of the clan. At the moment the guillotine fell, he swore to seek revenge if there were to be a next life. He never expected that he would be reborn into his own infant self, swearing to make the clan disappear from history in this second chance at life. The clan members were in a panic when he didn't come out of the Styx for a long time. But his father, Hugo, just smiled evilly. "How long has he been in the Styx?" 2.5 minutes, the butler said coldly from behind. The clan produced a genius. Hugo looked at his calm son. "Styx, you can come out now." But in order to absorb more of Styx' blessing, he had been forcing his body to hold on. Just as he could not bear it any longer, Hugo grabbed him out. He looked smugly at the child. Being around Styx wasn't enough for him. He even drank Styx water. And incredibly, at just 2.5 days old, he had grown a large white tooth. When Butler heard that he was named Virgil, he immediately showed a fierce look in his eyes. He is really a greedy son. Virgil woke up at night. His agile turning over proves that he has successfully absorbed Styx' blessing. A madam came over holding a gift at this time. Then she placed it on his bed. As an illegitimate child, he did not think anyone would give him gifts. Indeed, this gift exudes a dangerous aura. The next moment, 2 black mambas sprang out. But Virgil stood up calmly. Only a few members of the clan can be called madam. It seems she wants to clear obstacles for her own child in advance. Because 2 black mambas are enough to kill all the infants here. The next moment, Virgil accurately grasped the vitals of the black mamba. Then he squeezed hard. "Before I destroy the clan with my own hands, those who obstruct me will all become corpses." The next day, he watched me sleeping peacefully next to the venomous snake. The people in the nursery were all stunned, so they quickly reported it to the clan. All the nannies on duty that night were tortured to death, but they still couldn't figure out why the venomous snake appeared. Only the young hound knew the truth. 8 years had passed in the blink of an eye. The teachers of the clan are now educating the crowd. They learned about his swordsmanship level from his mouth. People who cannot infuse mana into the sword are called swordsmen. Those who can infuse some mana into the sword are called swordmaster. When mana can condense into liquid, they are called sword saint. Those who can freely change the form of mana are called sword grandmaster. In the clan, Hugo Baron is a sword grandmaster. Virgil fell into contemplation after hearing this. I didn't expect Hugo to have already become a sword grandmaster at this time. It seems I must restore my previous strength before adulthood. The teacher looked at contemplative Virgil and thought to himself, he truly deserves to be called a genius who has spent 2.5 minutes in the Styx, as he grasps every piece of knowledge effortlessly. And what Virgil was thinking about was how long it would take to kill Hugo. Just then, the 3 people beside him suddenly grinned wickedly. They immediately pushed Virgil and said, "Hey, you trash! Heard you spent 2.5 minutes in the Styx. Also, you killed 2 black mambas when you were an infant." Then they all said in unison, "Stop lying, you trash." It turns out that these 3 people were the trident that was referred to in my past life. They were also the ones who stabbed me in the back. Virgil felt that he needed to make them behave now, or they would be a headache in 10 years. Suddenly, one of them took a knife and pointed it at Virgil. "I heard that staying in the Styx for a long time can make your body as hard as iron. So even if I cut you, you won't die, right?" The other 2 also agreed, saying, "Stab him once and we'll see. But let me first see how long he can hold his breath." If it's over a minute, I'll eat my own hand. Then you should be prepared to eat your own hand. 10 minutes later, they were shocked. It's actually true. He didn't make a sound for 10 minutes. Let him go. This is not fun at all. The next second, his finger was bitten off. Then, the finger was spat out by Virgil. Aren't you going to eat your own hand? This clan throws infants who are only 2.5 days old into the sword tomb. But this infant not only resiliently climbed out of the sword tomb after being born for 2.5 days, he even managed to tear apart 2 black mambas with his bare hands. He used to be a hound who had contributed greatly to the clan, but he was framed because he knew too many of the clan's secrets. At the moment when the guillotine fell, he vowed to seek revenge if there was a next life. He unexpectedly reincarnated back to his own infancy, swearing to make the clan disappear from history in this second life. Just now, the person once known as Trident in his past life had his fingers bitten off by Virgil. Virgil made him keep his promise by eating his own fingers. But the other 2 men sneered. Do you think we were raised on fear? Then they wanted to take him to treat the severed finger. But Virgil stopped them. Have I let you go? One of them directly pulled out a knife and stabbed Virgil. Did you forget we are 1 year older than you? But as soon as he stabbed Virgil, he was stunned because he did not harm Virgil. The next second, Virgil bent his wrist. Then he looked slightly mocking. Since you guys want to play, I will generously play with you again. After saying that, he punched him in the face. Seeing Hudson being knocked down by a punch, the other 2 were stunned. They raised their fists to resist, but unsurprisingly, Virgil kicked them away. Then, Virgil looked coldly at the 3 of them. Don't be afraid. Clan will heal your injuries. He picked up the knife from the ground. I won't let any of you leave. But I can generously let one of you choose to leave immediately for treatment. The 3 of them were all scared stiff after hearing this. The next second, the knife was thrown in front of him. Virgil turned around slowly. Now you can choose who leaves. I can't wait too long. Don't you all want to leave? The 3 of them looked at each other with hidden agendas. Virgil put his hands in his pockets. The trident will never appear again. Before long, Virgil was summoned by clan leader Hugo. I heard that you have crippled the triplets. Virgil pretended to be clueless. It was just children playing around. It seems like it's more than just playing around. Since that day, they have been eating separately. They don't even talk to each other. Their combo skill was quite good, but now their relationship is shattered. Don't you think that you are at fault? Virgil remains calm and composed. I am stronger than them. Being a strong person is never wrong. Hugo lowered his head at the words. They just said they have forgiven you. Do you not feel any guilt at all? Virgil, on the other hand, raised his hands. I believe forgiveness is just an excuse for weak people, because they lack strength to seek revenge. Unexpectedly, Hugo agreed with this statement. Weakness is sin. Only a strong person can be supreme. After saying this, he rewarded Virgil to go to the storage room to take anything he wanted to eat. Just as Virgil was about to follow the butler to the storage room, Hugo reminded him to focus on completing the practical exam and not lose to the direct descendant. Virgil, who arrived at the storage room, immediately requested fragrant cocoa beans. This type of bean is called blood bean, and 1 bean can produce 800 pounds of chocolate. It turns out that Virgil plans to use blood beans in the practical exam in 2.5 days to trigger a disaster that clan has never seen before. In the blink of an eye, the day of the practical exam arrived. The leader, Shadow Dog, said slowly, Young masters, this exam is very simple. You must survive in the monster-filled mountain for a month. Successfully surviving is worth 10 points. If you come out of it without any disabilities, you will get 30 points. If you survive being defeated by others, you will get 50 points. Those who defeat the monsters and survive will receive 70 points. If you meet all the above conditions, you will score 90 points. Additionally, if you successfully steal the coat of arms, you will receive extra points. I hope you all remember the lesson from the clan leader, Hugo. When a sword fighter becomes arrogant, they are already dead. Finally, I suggest that you do not leave the designated area, because in the unconquered restricted area of the mountain, the shadow dog will secretly score you. Virgil listened excitedly. I haven't been there for a while. As the bell rang, the exam officially began. The chief examiner finished speaking and then rang the bell. The next moment, everyone disappeared from the original spot and headed towards the mountain. While others rushed to seize advantageous positions, Virgil leisurely searched for accommodation. He then stretched lazily, preparing to rest for a while. Unexpectedly, while others were fighting non-stop to score high marks, Virgil treated the exam as a camping trip. His shadow dog, who followed him, was also stunned. Does this deserve to be called a genius? If he just wanted to hide, then there was no need to monitor him. The next moment, Shadow Dog disappeared without a trace. Virgil, who noticed Shadow Dog's departure, had a proud expression on his face. I'm ready for everything, he thought as the troublemaker finally left. 2.5 days later, Virgil arrived at the restricted area because there was something he needed inside. Suddenly, a burnt smell pierced his nose. He was certain that the guy's hideout was nearby. Before long, he noticed something unusual. He saw only a mass of flesh and blood burning fiercely. Nearby, only a monster with this ability could do that. That would be the Hellhound. This clan is known as the Berserker clan simply because infants born into the clan are thrown into the sword tomb after 2.5 days. By the age of 8, they must also participate in the highly lethal survival ordeal. And this ordeal is the beginning of Virgil's revenge. After he dodged the shadow dog, he found a hellhound with a danger level B+, a type of monster that even his 18-year-old past self couldn't defeat. Currently only 8-year-old Virgil certainly cannot defeat it alone. But he is full of confidence, just because he knows 3 weaknesses of the hellhound. The first weakness is that they can only move in a straight line, and it is difficult for them to suddenly change their attack direction. The second weakness is that they are very afraid of water. Even a little bit of water will make them purposely avoid it, greatly slowing down their attack speed. The third weakness is that they open their mouths when they run forward. Virgil flicked his thumb. He fed blood bean to the hellhound, and the next second the hellhound was in excruciating pain. In an instant, it foamed at the mouth and collapsed on the ground. Because blood bean is poison to canine monsters, even the hellhound is affected. Then he drew his sword. Then he aimed at the unprotected weak spot without ribs. He thrust his sword straight in. After Virgil killed the hellhound, an energy called magic power floated out. This kind of energy can greatly enhance physical fitness. Virgil, who absorbed the magic power, felt that his sword was 2 pounds lighter. Satisfied, he had already planned out the champion reward. It was something he yearned for in his past life, yet in this era, no one knew its true value. Just as he was about to remove the head of the hellhound, a strange noise came from behind him. Unexpectedly, several hellhounds had been attracted by the sound and were approaching. Virgil looked excited. Are you here to avenge your companion? He asked. With that, he swiftly chopped off the head of the hellhound in front of him. Great! No need for me to search them out one by one. Come on! I still have plenty of blood beans. The hound suddenly seemed confused and disoriented. Virgil looked puzzled. Are they afraid of the bloodthirsty desires of an 8-year-old child? They are supposed to relentlessly pursue their prey until it's dead. Just as the words fell, he felt a chill down his spine. He turned his head to look. Cerberus, also known as the Hell Guard dog, appeared. Virgil suddenly felt uneasy. Why did monsters like Cerberus, with a danger level of A+, who normally dwell on number 7 mountain, suddenly appear here? Suddenly, Virgil noticed that it was bleeding. Upon closer inspection, he found that it was covered in wounds. It seems that someone is hunting it. At this moment, Virgil suddenly remembered that beyond the mountain is the barbarian tribe. It should have been chased all the way here. This is Virgil's opportunity. And heavily injured A+ monster, he had no reason to let it go. His confidence comes from countless battles in his past life. This makes his swordsmanship without any unnecessary movements. After saying that, he kicked and killed the held guard dog. Just saw Virgil cleave its dog head with a sword. But this seems to have angered the held guard dog. Its counterattack instantly shattered Virgil's sword. Then it slapped him across the chest with one claw. Virgil was swatted and sent flying 80 meters in an instant, then spat out a mouthful of blood. The blow knocked him unconscious directly. Just as guard dog was slowly approaching to deliver a fatal blow, a strong sense of pain instantly woke him up. It turns out that this one claw directly crippled Virgil's arm. If he hadn't already absorbed Styx's arm, it might have been broken by now. Before he could catch his breath, guard dog's sharp claws had already arrived in front of him. Just then, Virgil barely dodged with a sidestep. At this moment, he couldn't bear a second strike. But the mature hunter always finds a way to get out of trouble. That is to retreat as the best option. Virgil saw the situation was turning bad and quickly ran away. If guard dog wasn't seriously injured, he would have been torn to pieces by now. In the blink of an eye, he reached the fence of the restricted area. It turned out that Virgil wanted to lure guard dog to the trap he set. But before that, he couldn't make a careless mistake. Before long, he saw the trap that was marked. But the guard dog behind him was getting closer and closer. Just as Virgil was about to be bitten, guard dog accidentally stepped on the trap as expected. Countless spikes pierced into the body of guard dog in an instant. Although this trap was not prepared for the hell guard dog, the blood being sprinkled on the trap by the candy monster is also toxic to it, just like the hellhound. However, the hell guard dog, being an advanced monster, will not die right away. Virgil then picked up a long spear. Then he shot fiercely towards the guard dog. Unexpectedly, the guard dog easily deflected it. I saw the guard dog roared, as if saying, "Is that all you've got?" But Virgil silently began to count the numbers. When he counted to 7, the hell guard dog fell down with a sound. He had actually placed the venomous fang of a black mamba on the end of the long spear. Once touched, death was certain within 7 steps. Just as Virgil was contemplating how to handle the body of the hell guard dog, he suddenly realized that the hell guard dog was the guardian of the territory. There must be a dungeon nearby. The dungeon is a mysterious place containing treasure. Sometimes powerful monsters treat it as their lair. He then covered himself in guard dog excrement, ready to find the lair because its smell could scare away many monsters. Virgil searched for clues and tracked all the way. Finally, he found the lair. As soon as Virgil entered, he felt a rotten magic power, although there was no light inside the lair. But Virgil was excited. What kind of treasure is waiting for him here? The Beelzebub's sword, which had slaughtered countless beings in the hands of demons, was now lying in the cold underground lair. But soon it would be famous again, as it now belonged to Virgil. After entering the dungeon, Virgil discovered that there were ruby veins everywhere. He deduced that this place must be connected to Red Cone Mountain. 2.5 minutes later, a dazzling red light flashed, making Virgil unable to open his eyes. I think he must have reached the deepest part of the dungeon. He just walked into the secret chamber. In front of him was the gem Virgil emitting a red light, so he walked over. The ruby seemed to emit light only when infused with mana. He bowed his head and took a look. A skeleton suddenly appeared in front of him. It seemed that the person had been dead for quite some time. Virgil then picked up his belongings. He was also a member of the Baskerville clan. He left behind this writing to prevent future generations from making the same mistakes. He and his twin brother stumbled upon this place by accident. After killing a large number of monsters, they arrived at this secret room. For 3 whole years, they couldn't unravel the final riddle. When you enter, it's 1. Inside, it's 2. When you exit, it's 1. They had been pondering over these cryptic words. Finally, they reached a conclusion. Twins were 1 when they were in their mother's womb. Twins became 2 after being born. To obtain the treasure, they must become 1 again. This means only one of them can survive to take the treasure after a fierce battle. In the end, he killed his own older brother. But the tragedy is nothing has changed. He only got endless guilt. Virgil shrugged when he finished reading. It's really pitiful. But you're overthinking. I don't have a twin brother. He turned to look at Riddle. But what does this sentence mean? After looking at Kane's bones for a while, Virgil suddenly realized. You two are really unfortunate. Hindered by a fixed idea. Dark passages and bright chambers. The answer is on this ruby. When I walked through the dark passage, the light of the ruby created a projection of me, turning into two. When darkness fell again, it was time to solve the puzzle. After saying this, he punched and shattered the ruby. The answer to the puzzle is a shadow. The next moment, the shattered ruby emitted a strange red light. After a dazzling light, the Beelzebub sword suddenly appeared before him. The inscription stated that only those of the Baskerville clan bloodline could wield the Beelzebub sword. Virgil was shocked after reading this. It turns out that the Beelzebub sword from the legend he read was real. In the legend, giant beasts invaded the continent. They were known as the Demon's Sacred Constellation, also called the Seven Plagues. To prevent this disaster, 7 clan leaders stepped forward to confront the 7 Beelzebubs, with the first Baskerville clan leader battling Glutton. After his victory, he sealed the remains of Beelzebub in the clan's land. Beelzebub's magic power could attract monsters. This is an ancient legend that nobody believes in anymore. However, this legend is true. The sword was later taken by the Demon Clan, causing countless sacrifices on the battlefield. But this will not happen again in this lifetime, because the Beelzebub sword now belongs to me. After saying that, he prepared to draw the Beelzebub sword. As soon as he touched the Beelzebub sword, countless restless magic power gathered in his left hand. In no time, the magic power ceased to move. The next second, a sharp sword appeared in his hand. Virgil felt the power brought by the Beelzebub sword. He was already anticipating how powerful he would become. But just as Virgil was about to turn back, he suddenly felt dizzy and faint. He could only see him holding himself up with both hands. Could this feeling be because I'm hungry? Then he looked at the Beelzebub sword. It seems it's hungry. As soon as he stepped out of the dungeon, a greedy hunger swept over his body. His sense of smell also became more acute because of this. But it seems the Beelzebub sword has found something. It pulled Virgil forward. Soon, he arrived at the corpse of the hellhound from before. He saw the Beelzebub sword directly pierce the hound's body and start consuming the blood. Virgil's hunger was instantly relieved. It looks like the Beelzebub sword has been hungry for too long. 2.5 seconds later, the Beelzebub sword finished consuming. I didn't expect Virgil to actually acquire the hellhound's skill bleeding. He looked at the Beelzebub sword in his hand. Is this your ability? It is said that Beelzebub Glutton has the ability to absorb others' skills, causing countless people to lose their skills. But now, Virgil can only absorb 3 types of abilities. Hellhound's bleeding is a skill that causes wounds to continuously bleed. Just when he fantasized about stealing super abilities, Beelzebub's sword began to stir again. Virgil could only scratch his head. You can't just swallow it whole. Otherwise, I won't be able to explain it during the autopsy. Just as he was teaching Beelzebub's sword not to be greedy, he found that he had gained 2 new abilities, namely Burning from Guard Dog and Rapid Regeneration from Wrath. Beelzebub's sword is truly not picky. It even didn't spare the rat pinned under Guard Dog. However, Guard Dog's burning skill is very practical, because burning pain is one of the most severe pains that humans can experience. The next day, the ordeal ended, and all clan members gathered at the meeting point. Their respective ordeal evaluations were also carried out accordingly. And Virgil's prey unexpectedly shocked the clan members, so Hugo summoned him again. I heard you captured a held guard dog. How did you manage to do that? Virgil, however, remained calm. I used blood bean, which is a deadly toxin for canity monsters. Butler only realized now that Virgil had only wanted the blood bean earlier. While the clan leader was staring straight at Virgil when Butler asked you about hunting before. Why didn't you answer? Because he is not my master, I only take orders from the clan leader. Hugo was very pleased to hear that. You have learned very well. As a reward, the monster you hunted belongs only to you. Also, I can grant you one wish. Virgil clenched his fists after hearing this. I want to enter the 10,000 books library. Hugo and Butler were both stunned by his words. Because the 10,000 books library is the largest library in the Empire, and is located in the heart of clan. But Hugo said coldly, don't you know that only the clan leader and their direct descendants are allowed to enter the library? Virgil seemed indifferent after hearing this. If the clan does not allow it, I will give up this wish. But the next second, Hugo agreed to his request. He even allowed him to learn the clan's 6th sword technique and informed him that it was located in the 6th restricted area deep inside the library. But Virgil was stunned at these words because in his impression, Hugo would never allow an illegitimate child to learn beyond the 4-sword technique, let alone the 6th sword technique. Hugo had already mastered the 7th sword technique past life. He could now reveal his 9 venomous fangs. Virgil did not forget the humiliation from past life. In this life, he would surpass Hugo. Because he will obtain the clan's greatest treasure, the Swordsmanship Encyclopedia, which contains the teachings of the first clan leader who conquered the 7 plagues. Hugo is also looking forward to his performance, wishing you good luck. Virgil also nodded in agreement. I will definitely surpass your expectations, because Hugo is completely unaware of the true value of that book. 2.5 tons of troll, it is no match for an 8-year-old child. Only when he shows his strength to his father. He completes breakthrough in the battle. The father was also deeply impressed by this. But his strength is not limited to this. It's all just a show he's putting on. After Hugo agreed to Virgil's request, he immediately went to the 10,000 books library. Virgil felt a myriad of emotions as he watched Hugo, who was struggling to learn the sword technique in his past life, but now obtained it effortlessly. In order to ensure that the children becoming hounds do not challenge the master, as an illegitimate child in my past life, I was unable to learn superior sword techniques. But now, Hugo easily taught me the 6th sword technique. He probably thinks that an 8-year-old child cannot remember all the content in one day. Looking back, Virgil understands that the reason why past life cannot break through 4-sword technique is because stopping the flow of mana is required after removing the 4th venomous fang. It turns out that the Baskerville clan swordsmanship is based on different stages of sword skill. First sword skill uses 1 venomous fang, second sword skill uses 2 venomous fang, and so on. And when you pull out a tooth, a special red sword energy will appear. But Virgil doesn't care about these things, because this is not his purpose for coming to the library. He then left the 6th restricted area and headed to the regular book area, because there is a huge treasure hidden here. After a while of searching, Virgil finally found the book he had been dreaming of. This is the swordsmanship encyclopedia called Lurk and Ambush. It is considered a useless miscellaneous book because it is missing several pages. But Virgil knows its true value. In a past life, he found a strange artifact in a dungeon on the border of the Red Prison. When he opened it, he found a torn piece of paper with sword technique written in clan language. Hugo found a matching book in the library after he knew about it. Lurk and Ambush. In this book, there are clan 10th sword skills written by ancestors, and Hugo has long been obsessed with the 10th sword skill. So, he sent out all of his hounds to find the remaining 6 pages. After discovering that the remaining pages were hidden in the 7 major clans, Hugo declared war on the other clans. After sacrificing a large number of clan members, all the missing pages were recovered. Hugo also broke through the 7th sword technique to achieve the 9th sword skill as a result, but his success came at the cost of the blood of countless clan members. Virgil remembers all the contents of the missing pages at that time. So what others consider useless miscellaneous books, in Virgil's eyes, it is a marvelous masterpiece. One day passes in the blink of an eye. Virgil also remembered all the contents of the book. After observing that there was no one around, he closed his eyes. He tried to see if he could successfully execute the 5th sword skill. Only red mana converged in his left hand. Baskerville first sword skill. Third sword skill. The shame of being an illegitimate child in his past life prevented him from mastering anything beyond the fourth sword technique, but he won't make the same mistake this time. Baskerville fifth sword skill slipped from his hands. He achieved an accomplishment that he had never been able to reach in his past life, even though the power is currently very weak. But he succeeded. At the same time, a warm stream surged from the depths of his heart straight to his neck. It turned out that he'd break through. The condensation of mana into liquid is the sign of him becoming the Sword Saint. The goal that he had failed to achieve in his past life for 30 years, he has now accomplished at the age of 8. After breaking through his Sword Saint, his mana density has noticeably increased, and he can freely use it. With the help of the book, Lurk and Ambush, Virgil's sword technique can also continue to grow infinitely. Then he took out the magnifying glass from his waist. He used sunlight to burn the book. Now Hugo and his fangs will not be able to reach the 10th sword skill, of course, that does not include Virgil. Hugo then asked about his study situation. Virgil dragged his chin. I have a warm and sharp, soft and sticky feeling.
Hugo sat up straight at the words. Could it be that you have comprehended the sword stance? This is a sign of his formal entry into the world of sword. Even a genius has to train continuously for 15 years to achieve it. And he is just an 8-year-old child.
Hugo looked excited. Could you demonstrate it? Virgil showed an innocent smile. Of course. They arrived at the training ground not long after, and Hugo did not treat Virgil as a child. He directly assigned an orc with danger level C. The clan members were all shocked. This monster is one that can only be defeated after the age of 15. Then, following Hugo's gesture, the chain on the orc was unlocked. The orc immediately showed a fierce look, followed by a roar. It rushed towards Virgil with a violent stride. But Virgil remained calm and composed. He seized the opportunity to cut off its right arm with a sword, then swiftly crouched down. He chopped off its lower leg. The orc looked terrified as his skill rapid regeneration was not activated. It turns out that Virgil's B-level skill bleeding can suppress the orc's level C skill. But looking at Hugo's calm demeanor, Virgil realized that he had not shown enough. The next second, Hugo was stunned, only to see Virgil erupting in sword stance, under the terrified expression of the orc. He killed it with one sword strike. Butler was shocked to see this scene. There wouldn't be such a genius in all the clans of the Empire. Hugo is also proud. He just got lucky. But Virgil doesn't want to end it here. Is there a stronger opponent than Orc? He does this because in some way showing off his strength would be better. If he is recognized by Hugo, he can temporarily leave the clan and be sent to remote areas or an academy. Hugo also became interested upon hearing this. It seems that Orc is not enough to satisfy my son. Then let it go on stage. It has been hungry for a while. As soon as he finished speaking, a giant beast appeared in front of him. Virgil's mouth was wide open. This was a 2.5-ton troll, but Virgil rushed towards the troll without hesitation, only to see the troll raise its fist. It fiercely smashed towards Virgil, but Virgil took a quick step and moved behind the troll. Others don't understand why Virgil didn't seize the opportunity to attack. Hugo, on the other hand, appreciates his approach. Because Troll has a super powerful regenerative ability, only deadly attacks have value. After a series of nimble movements, Virgil felt that Troll was too bulky and lacked excitement. But he can't use his hidden strength. He must make everything look logical. Suddenly he felt that he was about to have an epiphany. This feeling made him know how much of his strength he should expose. He wants to perform an upgrade epiphany from the battle. He wondered how Hugo would react to this. In the shock of the troll, Virgil chopped off its dog's head with one sword. At this moment, the first genius in the history of Baskerville is born. Just because he understood the second sword skill that others could only learn at the age of 18, when he was 8 years old. And Hugo looked at the scene, unsure if it was astonishment or fear. The boy simply flicked his finger, and sent the once dominant the iron-blooded Empress flying. She was left charred and exposed. She has actually fallen in love with the boy. She disregarded the opposition of the clan leader and insisted on getting engaged to him. Virgil arrived at the joint training between Morgan clan and Baskerville clan 2.5 days after killing the troll with one sword. However, due to the dispute over the ownership of the ruby mine, the relationship between the two clans is not harmonious. But the Emperor's order makes it so they dare not defy it. Clan leader Adolf of the Morgan clan spoke first. I heard that your clan has produced a genius named Hugo. You must be very proud. It is a rare occurrence for a clan to produce a genius once in 100 years. This is a great fortune for the Empire. And Adolf is not one to be outdone. He turned around and called out the genius girl Catherine from the Morgan clan. I didn't expect Catherine to speak up and accuse Hugo of being a thief. She asked him to return Ruby. Hugo was stunned at her words. Adolf quickly tried to smooth things over, saying that children don't know any better. But Catherine refused to let it go, saying, Hurry up, Big Beard! Hugo, who was referred to as Big Beard, instantly looked embarrassed. It seems that the children of the Morgan clan lack some education. Adolf quickly intervened. Are you threatening an 8-year-old child? Just then, Virgil walked over slowly. Hasn't your family taught you not to envy what others have? After he saw Catherine, Virgil was shocked for 2.5 seconds. The genius in Morgan clan genius. She once single-handedly killed all the monsters in the mountain. Then she used a long spear to burn them into ashes, forming the famous blood and ash boundary. She even manipulated the royal family with her beauty, known as the authoritative female fire goddess. But that is in the distant future. For now, she is still just a child. Are you here from afar just to anger Miss F.A.? No one will indulge you here. Catherine became angry the moment she heard it. The next second, she launched a magical attack. So let's settle the ownership of the ruby mine with our fists.
But Virgil suddenly grabbed her hand.
Let's fall in love. By then, what is yours will be mine, and what is mine will still be mine. Catherine has never seen such a scene before. Her face instantly turned red. What are you talking about, jerk? But Virgil's face changed. How about we have another football team to enter the World Cup at that time? Catherine was terrified after listening. She turned around and cried in Adolf's arms. Asshole, be careful during joint training. Training will start very soon.
The most eye-catching matchup was, of course, the strong showdown between the genius girl Catherine from the Morgan clan and the genius young man Virgil from the Iron Blood Sword clan. As soon as the bell rang,
Catherine instantly unleashed her magic. The audience was stunned at the sight. It's extremely difficult for others to cast one type of magic, but she was able to unleash 4 types at the same time. The next moment, Catherine threw the magic towards Virgil. Virgil, unexpectedly, easily dodged it. Your magic is as beautiful as you. But focusing on one type of magic might be better. Catherine is a bit angry. You're just an idiot who doesn't understand magic. At the same time, she didn't forget to activate soil flow barrier to block Virgil's attack. But Virgil punched and shattered the soil flow barrier. The word, idiot, really hurts my feelings. He then made a snapping gesture. The next second, Catherine was instantly set flying. All that could be seen was Catherine touching the large bump on her forehead. Bastard. What have you done to me? Virgil pointed to his forehead. This is the mark of love. Catherine felt a bit embarrassed and indignant at the words. Then she activated the double soil flow barrier. Now you can't get through, can you? Virgil laughed after hearing this. He just punched and shattered the double soil flow barrier directly. Then he reached out his hand toward Catherine. Are you ready to accept my love? Then the same gesture again. Catherine, who was slapped on the forehead twice in a row, cried. She looked at the big lump on her forehead, emitting smoke. Catherine got up, and another wave of magic struck Virgil. Virgil looked back at the battle and said, Any magic, I'll cut it all for you. Let me see if this time you can still cut it off. Catherine also walked angrily towards Virgil at this time. At the moment she threw out the flame ball. Virgil lay down smoothly. You better be ready to defend against magic. Catherine stared blankly as the flame ball flew towards her, followed by a loud explosion. Catherine hugged herself as she managed to activate her magic in time to protect herself. However, the flame still burned away her clothes. If the smoke dispersed, she would become the laughingstock of others. At this moment, Virgil took off his clothes and threw them to Catherine, urging her to put them on quickly. I'm the only one who gets to see the scene. Catherine is as if she has fallen into a river of love. Idiot, thank you. 2.5 minutes later, the smoke cleared. Catherine, who was being supported by Adolphe, still savored the recent ambiguity. Shortly after, Adolphe found Hugo and said, Can I talk to you? But Catherine was shyly hiding behind Adolphe. Later, Hugo coldly said, Do you have something to say? I have a proposal that I am not sure if I should mention. We have been considering how to peacefully resolve the issue of the ruby mine. Besides money, I think we can form a marriage alliance. The eldest daughter of the Morgan clan and the eldest son of the Baskerville clan. My niece is beautiful and knowledgeable. I believe she would be a great match for the child known as Little Sun. Hugo was surprised, but my eldest son is already 25 years old. There's only a 17-year age gap between an 8-year-old and a 25-year-old. It's not a big issue. However, Catherine was displeased after hearing this. I will not marry an older man. Hugo coldly stated, This is not something you can decide. Catherine, however, became increasingly excited. I know. I have no intention of bargaining. Then she looked at Virgil affectionately. I just. Adolphe was completely stunned. He is just an illegitimate child. No matter how much of a genius he is only a small fish in the pond. Hugo also responded to the situation. We still need to ask for the opinion of the parties involved. Virgil, what do you think? He is looking at the lovely Catherine. Virgil, of course, only said, I accept the proposal of engagement.